Welcome to Authors Night Live. It is a show where we dive into the stories behind the books and the brilliant minds that created them. Every week you get here and we will bring you insightful conversations with authors who share their experiences, creative processes, and the powerful messages they convey through their work. I am super excited. This is our second episode. And tonight we have two inspiring guests who will share their powerful journeys and insights. Our first guest is Her Excellency, Dr. Theresa Moseley, who will discuss her anthology, The Essential Skills of Effective Leadership. And our second guest is Dr. LaQuita Monley. She's a transformation coach, an inspirational speaker, and the author of Redefining Success, 8 tools I use to develop a growth mindset. Dr. Monley will share her powerful insights on leadership, identity, and the journey to defining success on your own terms. We're going to have an amazing show, so don't go anywhere. Stay right here. We're going to talk to these amazing ladies. Our first guest is Dr. Theresa Moseley. Hey there.
Hi there, Dr. Berry. So happy to be here.
I am happy to have you here on Authors Night Live. Let me tell you, Dr. Theresa Moseley is the founder of TAM Creating Ambassadors of Peace, LLC, a global peace ambassador and a leader in an educational and business setting. She's here to talk about her powerful anthology, Essential Skills for Effective Leadership, Steps to Leading with Grace, which brings together 24 leadership experts and guide leaders on essential skills. Experts to guide leaders on essential skills, soft skills. So we're going to talk about that. So Dr. Moseley, tell us about the book, The Essential Soft Skills for Effective Leadership, and what really inspired this project.
Well, when I was being inducted into the United Nations Peace Ambassadors Program, I met a businessman who was sitting at the bar, and he says, why are you here? I said, I'm here for United Nations Peace Ambassador induction. He says, what do you do? I said, well, I'm a retired educator. And he says, well, so-and-so and so-and-so. I said, here's my bio. This is my website. So he went to the website and he says, oh my gosh, you're the real deal. I'm in sales. I can teach hard skills, but I'm really bad with soft skills. And we need someone like you to come in and teach soft skills. I said, wait a second. If you need me to come into your organization to teach soft skills, then I need to write the book. And so I said, okay, let me think about this. Let me get some experts, right? So then I went to Geneva for further training, and I was in the middle of the Lake Geneva. And this man comes up to me and he says, your face looks so familiar. I said, oh, probably from social media. He says, no. I've seen your face. Were you in Orlando? I said, yes. He says, I met a businessman that said you're going to teach his crew soft skills. And I said, okay, God, so you're saying I really need to write this book. And 3 months later, I got my people and we wrote the book. So that was my initial reason why I wrote the book, because I had to train a company.
Awesome. I love it. I love the fact that you're teaching this, and it's something that everyone needs if they're going to be in business. So I want to share your reel.
The Essential Soft Skills for Effective Leadership, Steps to Leading with Grace. It's a book that highlights 10 soft skills for leaders: communication, adaptability, collaboration, creativity, emotional intelligence, problem solving, empathy, organization, time management, and integrity. Our book is available for pre-sales. Contact the co-authors on their landing pages. Contact me, Her Excellency Dr. Theresa A. Moseley, at creatingambassadorsofpeace.com for your autographed copy. Get yours today.
I love that. That
Yeah.
is awesome. I love that. So, soft skills can often be overlooked in leadership. Why do you think they're so crucial for effective leadership today?
Soft skills are important because if you want to lead with grace, you're going to have to know how to communicate. You have to have empathy for your employees. You have to be adaptable. So it's one thing to run an organization and teach people how to sell and teach hard skills, but in order for you to have relationship building, establish honesty and trust, you have to have those soft skills. It's so important in leadership across the board.
Wow. Now, your book covers empathy, integrity, and emotional intelligence, among other skills. Which one do you feel is the most important for leaders to master, and why?
I would say empathy, because it's one thing to feel compassion for your employees, to feel sorry for them if something happens. But to feel empathy is to be able to feel what someone else is feeling. And that's difficult for people to do. And if some employee is struggling with something and you can't feel what they're feeling, then you really can't help them. So I think empathy is so important. And we need to know the difference between having compassion and having empathy. But it's so important. It's not only just important to treat your employees with empathy, but also to train your other leaders in your building to have these soft skills too. Because leaders, we build leaders, right? And so
Mhm.
we need to have the soft skills so we can teach the soft skills to our future leaders as well. But empathy, I think, is very important.
Okay. I think emotional intelligence is as well. Um, can you give us like a scenario where emotional intelligence was needed, or a time that you had to implement that?
Well, let me say this. I have Rodney Burris, who is a phenomenal emotional intelligence person. He wrote that chapter on emotional intelligence. But as a high school principal, I had to know what my people were feeling as a new principal, too, because I was a new principal going into a high school. I had to have some level of emotional intelligence and to understand the needs of my employees. And so one of the things that I did was, you don't trust someone that's coming in first year as a high school principal. So what I did is I established shared decision making, right? And I met with everybody individually to find out who they were, to understand their personality type, right? I needed to find out who needed direct supervision and who I needed to tell to do X, Y, and Z. That's part of emotional intelligence, understanding that people are different, they have different attitudes and beliefs. And coming into an organization as a new principal, you really need to understand that piece of it.
Mm, okay, okay. Now you mentioned reflective questions in each chapter. How do these help readers apply the lessons from the book in their daily leadership roles?
This book is so good
Yes,
because
it is.
each chapter has a case study, a real case study, not real names. And then it has some strategies to implement that soft skill. And then it has reflective questions on that strategy, which allows you to think about, okay, am I implementing this? Am I doing this? And if not, what can I do to make this happen? So, reflective questions on each chapter is so fundamental in changing your leadership style to improve your soft skills in an organization. And also, there's a lot of journaling as well. So important. Even children, we don't ask children enough how they feel about something or how they think about it. A, something happens, B, they feel a way about it, and then C, they react to it. And a lot of times that gets them in trouble. Same thing for adults. We have to reflect on what happened or what's not happening so that we can make that change.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And I love this part of the book. It really gives you an opportunity to really seriously look at your own situation. So I'm telling you guys, you got to grab this book. Yes. And what was it like collaborating with 24 leadership experts, and how did their experiences shape the theme of this book?
Oh my goodness. I was very intentional in getting the experts in each of these areas to write this book. A lot of people want to write books and be a part of a project, but I needed real experts to write the chapters, to write the case studies, to write the real strategies. to help design the reflective questioning so that this book can be a resource. This is not a book that you read front to back. This is a book like, okay, I'm training my folks today on communication. So let's go to chapter, whatever it is, and let's study this. So let's do the reflective questions. This is a great resource book for any leader. Our politicians need this book today. Congress needs this book, right? Essential soft skills are so important.
I agree. So there's one message you want, if there's one message you want to walk away, you want people to walk away with after reading your book, what would that be?
If you are a leader in an organization, it's very important, number one, that you know every employee that works for you. You know their strengths and you know their weaknesses. Number two, that you implement these soft skills that we talk about: communication, adaptability, flexibility, collaboration. All of them are so important in running an organization. So I want to leave you with this. If you need training on soft skills, there's plenty of books out there, but not one like this book. This book really gives you a step-by-step, strategy by strategy, and lots of reflections to help you change your practice.
Wow, that is amazing. I really, really like this book. And I want to get a little more in depth with some of the things. Anything else that you want to share? Do you want to make sure that people know and are clear about with this book? We want to make sure they go to Amazon and get it, right?
Yes. Once again, I'm a practitioner as well. I was in the Army for 5 years. I was in the airline industry for a minute. I went to college. I went to school. I had 3 degrees, and I led a high school for 5 years, but I was in education for 28 years. So I am a real practitioner that put these things into place. And I know that when you have soft skills and you train your leaders in your building to have soft skills, that it can help create a positive climate and culture. See, they call me the peacemaker. And what I know is, if you are leading a building, it is your responsibility to make sure that climate and culture is positive. And if you are using soft skills, then your climate and culture will be positive. Everything with me goes back to peace in the world. So when you are happy at work, you're happy at home, you're happy in the community, you're happy in the grocery store, you're happy. But if you're not happy at work, then you might want to look at communication, or what's happening here, empathy, compassion, what's going on in the workplace. If you're lonely at the top, there's a problem. Essential soft skills are so important.
I think that there's, people may want to implement this on their job. What would be the best approach to get this book implemented on their jobs?
I would recommend that the leader have a training schedule, right? A professional development calendar, and each month focus on a soft skill. They can purchase the book on Amazon, but they can also purchase it from my website. I could actually give them a deal if they purchase it from my website, if they order it in bulk. And so if you have a regular training, professional development on these soft skills, by the end of the year, let's say you did it for 9 months, then you've actually trained your teachers and your leaders or whoever's working for you with this entire book. It's not something to be read front to back, but you can create a professional development calendar using this book to help train your staff. And remember, leaders build leaders.
Absolutely. You said you were a principal. Was that elementary, or did you say
high school?
High school. Okay.
High school.
Okay. So you were able to utilize this in the high school setting.
Yes, I was. And, being a high school principal changed my life. I don't know if you know, well, most people know my story, that I lost 2 students to violence. And I started the campaign for no more violence, one school, one community, one county at a time. The next year, one city, one state, one nation at a time. But I loved my staff. I established trust with my staff. I was benevolent. I gave them what they needed. And I also trained my administrative team with essential soft skills. I knew who they were. And once again, the essential soft skills is just another tool to make this world a more peaceful place, because this is for leaders to make sure that their climate and culture is positive.
Awesome. I think it's important. I think that if you're listening, you need to go to Amazon and grab this book. So tell us a little bit about the other things. You got a lot of things going on. You just had an awards show. So you're doing some wonderful things, and that's
Yes.
definitely appreciated. So tell us a little bit about some of the other things that you're doing.
So I want to start with my Passion Purpose Peace Summit that I just had. I'm going to have another one next September during International Peace Day, which is like the third or fourth week in September. And each year I have a theme. This year, my theme was serving others, where I honored 100 people that are really serving others and making a positive impact in their community. Next year, the theme is going to be peace within the home, the school, the community. And that's going to be a book actually as well. I will be hosting the Women of Heart Awards in London on November the 16th. I'll be at Harvard speaking. I'm a keynote speaker for the Skills LOSD at Harvard on December the 6th and the 7th, and the podcast on December the 9th. I have so many other things that are going on. It's just wonderful. People don't know this, but I'm also a professional actor. I have an agent, and they're saying, we need you to audition for some movies, Theresa. We need you.
Oh,
So that'll be forthcoming next year as well.
okay, that's awesome. We are definitely in that vein of filmmaking and all of that. We got some wonderful things coming up in that arena. I can't talk about too much about it now, but it's in the works, and I'm excited about that. So definitely, we might have to call you.
Yes, call me.
All right, all
I'm
right,
SAG, Screen Actors Guild.
awesome, absolutely. Okay, so tell the audience, the listeners, where all the information about you and where they can get the book, and your website is up.
Yes, my website is creatingambassadorsofpeace.com. It links to all of my social media, my LinkedIn, my Speaker Hub, I have a YouTube channel, Dr. Theresa A. Moseley. My Instagram is Dr. Theresa A. Moseley. My Facebook, Dr. Theresa A. Moseley, Theresa A. Moseley, that is. So, but if you go to my website, it links to all of those social media sites. You can get the book on my website. It's there I have a bookstore. I have a bookstore with apparel and books. So you can get the book there. It's also available on Amazon.
Oh,
And there's also a place where you can contact me for a free consultation for 30 minutes, especially if you're a leader and you want to use this book for group training. Contact me on my website and I can schedule a free 30-minute consultation with you.
awesome. Well, I certainly appreciate you. Thank you for coming to Authors Night Live and sharing. Thank you for sharing your insights and your experience with us today at Authors Night Live. Your book is invaluable and an invaluable resource for leaders seeking to grow and lead with grace. We appreciate your time. Continued success to you and all that you do.
Thank you so much. I want to leave you with this. Life is but a short road to our ultimate destiny. So you got to make peace, have compassion, and learn to love before you get there. Peace and blessings.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to come right back with another guest. Thank you for being here, Dr. Theresa Moseley.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was an amazing, amazing author, and you definitely got to go and pick up her book. Our next guest is Dr. LaQuita Monley. She's an accomplished leadership strategist from John Maxwell certified, a John Maxwell certified coach and international speaker. She's an author of Redefining Success, 8 Tools I Use to Develop a Growth Mindset, a book that challenges readers to discover their true identity and define success for themselves. Through her transformative coaching, Dr. Monley helps people around the globe develop resilience and adaptability in leadership. Hey there.
Hey there, Dr. Telishia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for coming on and being part of our show today, Authors Night Live. This is our second episode, so we're still trying to get all the kinks out of here.
Oh,
But
you are doing well. You are
thank you
doing
so
well.
much. Thank you so much. It's a blessing to be here. I love authors. You know I do.
Yes,
I'm
you do. You
honored that
take
you're
very good
here.
care of us.
And I had the pleasure of working with you on this book. So I am
You did.
yes. So this was I love books, and I love to see authors winning. So I appreciate you and all that you do out there
Thank
doing
you.
what you do,
Thank
supporting
you.
people.
Thank
Eight
you.
tools, 8 tools I
Thank
use to
you.
develop a growth mindset. I want to share your reel.
Everything hinges on identity. It is the compass of our faith that aligns with the Holy Spirit to fulfill the Father's will. Wrapped up in identity is who we are, the purpose of our being, and every God-breathed promise that manifests as our success. Hello, I'm LaQuita Monley, and I'm the author of Redefining Success, 8 Tools that I use to develop a growth mindset. In this amazing book, not only will I share with you 8 tools that I use for a growth mindset, but I'll also share the applicable principles based on God's word that you can easily implement in your life journey. So no matter where you are and no matter where you see yourself in the future, this book will be a tool that you need for your toolbox. Don't wait, get it today, and it can be found on Amazon by simply searching Redefining Success, 8 Tools that I use for a growth mindset. Take care. Everything hinges on.
Love it, love it, love it. I thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. Thank you.
Yes, I love that. You're doing some amazing things as a coach, a growth mindset. You're doing the mindset is, so many people are out here doing or having issues and not understanding. It's the number one thing is a
Mhm.
mindset. So your book Redefining Success touches on the importance of self-awareness. How did you
Yes.
first come to realize the connection between identity and success?
So, that's a big story. I don't know if we have enough time for that one,
Ooh, go ahead, go ahead. We got time.
but so it first started off with identity. And honestly, when I was 25, I had a triggering moment outside of the church that I belonged to at the time. And it was one of those things where, you know, one of my mom's really good friends, she was calling me, but she wasn't calling me by my name. She was saying, "Hey, Sister Kim's daughter, could you come here for a minute?" And Talisha, that Dr. Berry, that just triggered me in a way that shocked me. And I proceeded to say some very unkind things to this lady, thinking to myself, my mama gonna get me. And the second thought was, why are you doing it? Why are you behaving in that way? And so on the way home, that was just a question I had before the Lord. Like, God, why did I do that? I don't even know why I did that. And at that time, my husband was gone on his very first deployment. He was a part of First Cav, excuse me, not First Cav. He was with First Cav, but at this time, he was a part of the Fourth ID and that initial invasion into Baghdad. So I had some time for reflection by myself. And through those months of reflecting on what happened and submitting that to prayer, I realized that I had no idea who I was. I knew I was a wife. I knew I was a mom. I knew I was uh, my parents' daughter. Like I had all of these roles. And when I sat down and honestly asked myself certain questions like, what do you like to do? What's your favorite hobby? Why is that your favorite hobby? All of the things that answers that I came up with went back to high school. Here I am, 25 years old, 5 children, and a dog. And I don't even know what I like and why I like it because everything had stopped for me in high school. I went from my parents, in high school, I became a mom. Graduated high school, went from my parents' house to my husband's house. And then I became Dario, Devante, Denise, David, and Marquez's mom. At that time, my husband was a sergeant. I was Sergeant Monley's wife at church. I was Sister Kim's daughter. It was no one was recognizing me for me. And that was because I didn't know who I was. And so that began a journey for me on understanding who God is in who God created me to be and how my purpose is wrapped in my identity. When I understood who God called me to be, then through that journey, I began to fully understand why I was born and what I've been placed on this earth to do. And he consistently gives me instructions on what's the next step that he wants me to take in this journey called life. So it it was a personal journey, and it still is a personal journey, because at different segments of my life, success meant different things. So in that moment in time in my life, success was, oh, I finally know who LaQuita is. The next step in the next level of success, it changes. So for me, that takeaway is understanding who you are will help you understand your purpose. But as that relates to success, my definition of success has to change as I grow. It has to change. It has to grow. It has to develop. And that's the thing that gives us that growth mindset.
Mm, Well, let's talk about that a little bit. That identity thing is really big because that happens a lot in relationships and marriage. I know that was an issue even when I was married. We did a lot of things, and it was always seemed like it was associated that I was just the wife,
The wife. Yeah.
just the wife. Like,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. I'm here doing all this work. What?
No, I'm more than
So
that.
I had to work through that thing. You know, I had to have some prayer. I had to get an understanding and focus on what God called me and the purpose of what I was doing,
Right.
all had
Right.
meaning, but I had to go through some things. So a lot of women, I know of a lot of women who were dealing with the same thing, especially, in ministry, being a
Mhm.
pastor's wife. A lot of them are
Yes.
for pastors' wives. And so let's talk about that. What are some of the ways that, because I'm sure some of them are listening, that women, when you are married and you're married to, someone in leadership,
Mhm.
how do you work on your own identity? How do you make sure that you're being, uh, people see you as not just the wife?
Not just the wife. So let me start by saying this. Because I became the wife at such a young age, I was 18 when I became a wife.
Mm,
Um, with that, I didn't really understand the value of that word, the
right.
value of that role. So sometimes society, in and out of the church,
Mhm.
gives very little value to the role of a wife, especially a housewife. A
Mhm.
wife that has a career or a business, that's different, but
Mhm.
to a housewife. So I
Mhm.
want to first say, ladies, your role as a housewife, if you are not able to function at your fullest capacity, then everything falls apart. There is no happy home or sad home without you. As being a woman and being a wife, the Lord calls us Eve in Genesis. We are the mother of everything. So understand that you give life spiritually and naturally. That's your number one role. You give life spiritually and naturally in your household. So with carving out your identity, we're going to start there. Your identity starts in, because I am fashioned and created in his image and in his likeness, according to Genesis 1:26 through 28. And I have dominion and power over every creeping thing that creepeth upon this earth. We're going to start right there. Let that be your foundation always. So when the negative thoughts come in, however they come in, that's your foundation, that's your shield. I have dominion and power over every creeping thing that creepeth upon this earth. Yes, I am Ben's wife. However, LaQuita was created in the image of God. Now, for those of us that are believers and we understand that we seek God for our purpose and our identity, he didn't just stop with saying, okay, your identity is to be a wife. In your private prayer time, in your journaling, in your reading, the Lord has clearly given you a set of instructions and say, this is who you are. This is what I want you to do. Hold fast to that, because believe it was Darius Daniels that coined the phrase. It doesn't have to be this or that. It can be this and that. So yes, I can be a wife and be successful in my own right, doing the thing that I love to do. So what is it that God has given you to love? What is it that he's given you to have passion about? And ask him to give you that balance in order to accomplish those things. You spoke specifically to women, about women that are in leadership role, pastors' wives, ministers' wives, elders' wives, CEOs, any of the gentlemen that may be in the C-suite execs, or for those of us in the military community where your husband is some type of senior non-commissioned officer or field grade officer, and he has command, and he has men, soldiers under him. Then yes, your role as a wife is super, super important, because as he's leading those soldiers, then oftentimes it's given to us to be able to play a role of leadership into their significant others as well. So define who you are through the lens of the word. Define who you are and your value through the lens of God's word.
That's good. That's good stuff. Thank you for that. So, what inspired you to write this book, and what is the message that you hope to convey to readers who may be struggling with the definitions of success?
So my initial inspiration for writing the book came from men and women that we had ministered to or discipled. Our ministry always thrived off of small groups meetings, small group settings. Some people call them prayer cells. Some ministries call them small groups, whatever your ministry may call them. And over the years, in those small groups, inevitably, members of the small group would say, you need to write a book, or you and your husband need to write a book together. And just thinking on that, it's like, okay, Lord, you know what? I will write a book when the time is right. And initially that book was supposed to be an autobiography. It was supposed to be an autobiography that covered certain aspects of our life, how we started out as teenage parents to how we got to be where we are at the point in time that I wrote the book. But in that writing journey, I discovered that, yeah, I wasn't emotionally ready for that in writing the book. You get to, sometimes when you're writing a book, especially when it's about you or it is about certain things, as you're penning that book, you realize there's some unhealed hurts, some unresolved issues that need to be addressed. And that's what happened with me. There were some things that needed to be addressed. So that autobiography turned into the work that you see today, to where it does speak a little bit on each of those things that I just named, but in small doses. So instead of it being one book, it'll turn into several books that will cover each area in detail.
Okay. So we're looking forward to something new. Something's coming up. You got something coming up?
We got something coming up. So my husband and I are currently working on a book about marriage. And we're speaking specifically to being married in the military, and which being married is hard, period. It's wonderful and it's a blessing, but it's not a cakewalk. And so we are writing this book, and our desire is to help the men and women in the armed forces to understand how to keep stability in your marriage, no matter what obstacles you face.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm excited about it now. Honestly, I wasn't excited about it in the beginning, so it was a firm no for quite a few years, because we were supposed.
Really?
It was because I'm a pretty transparent person when I need to be, and there are certain aspects when you're talking about marriage. So we don't do that whole let's be fluffy when we talking about conflict in marriage. We're just going to address the elephants in the room on the table. And in an adult setting, that's great. But if we pin that in a book, there's some stuff my kids don't know, and it's not their business. So I had to figure out, we had to figure out how would we be able to address these issues the way we would in small group in a book that could be seen by many. How would we craft that? And so I had a firm no for a very long time. The book was supposed to come out, Dr. Berry. Initially, it was supposed to come out 6 months after Redefining Success came out. This was to come out, and then the next book was supposed to be about redefining success. I mean, about marriage. And it didn't. We started doing it, and we're like, okay, let's do it in an anthology. That way we'll only be responsible for a chapter. And then that didn't work. God said, no, that's not what I said do. You're going to write this book. And so now, we have surrendered and said, okay, we're going to write the book, Lord, and you will have to give us direction on how to do this in a way that's going to be effective for the reader, but won't cause harm in our family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I know some of our listeners, viewers will be looking forward to that one as well. Now, you mentioned the idea of identity undergirding our values and aspirations. Can you explain how the understanding your identity can reshape your approach to leadership and personal growth?
Oh, that's good. So when we look at our identity and how it, especially in the forms of leadership and personal growth, when I know who I am and I'm confident in that, when it comes to creating a personal growth plan, it gets easier because I already understand my core values. A lot of times we have people who are in leadership roles, or when we're writing personal growth things, it's all based on achieving the next level of some type of monetary success or achieving the next level in your career. That can happen without us understanding who we are, but it leaves those shallow holes, and we're always unfulfilled, and we're always chasing, chasing, chasing. We never come to a place of satisfaction, right? But when I understand who I am, and I write those things down, I move through those goals, those things, then that brings fulfillment to us personally. And then we're able to, as leaders, we're able to mentor, train, and teach the next level, the next leader, that, hey, leadership isn't always about meeting a bottom line. It's not always about hitting deadlines, but being an effective leader means I have great influence over people, as Dr. Miles Monroe said. And my influence can be positive or negative. I want to leave a positive influence over those that I'm in leadership over. So me being who I am and understanding that, I will raise up a confident individual. I will raise up someone who understands who they are. I will raise up someone who values personal growth. I will raise up someone who values giving that back to the next person, so that they then can give back to another individual.
Mm. Now that's powerful. That is powerful, having to, because a lot of times people that are in leadership, they don't understand part of the leadership is leading other people,
Right.
developing other people, and
Right.
helping them to grow to also be leaders. And
Right.
I've been in situations like that in church, and people didn't
Mhm.
understand. They didn't understand what you said earlier. They got to understand who they are
Who they
first.
are. Like,
And they got to understand the purpose.
right. Your anointing, your gift, your talent is for specific people who the Lord says, when Dr. Telishia came through the birth canal, this is who she is. These are her giftings and her talents. They are without repentance. And here's the group of people that she can definitely reach. You can reach people and lead people and train and develop people that I can't. They are not in my sphere of influence. Like, that's vice versa. I can lead some people who you could say the same thing that I said and won't have the same impact.
Mm.
When we understand that as leaders, that competition, that fear, all the pride, all of those things that will lead a person not to want to develop themselves, recreate themselves. Good leaders always want to recreate themselves and recreate themselves in a way that person is 10 times better than what I am at what I'm doing. They could take it, 10 steps up from what I can do.
Mm. That's powerful. That's powerful. In redefining success, you provide 8 tools for developing a growth mindset. Which tool do you believe is the most essential for someone just starting out on their personal growth journey?
I will tool number 6. And tool number 6 is opposition. Within opposition, there are opportunities. We will not live a life that does not have opposition. In the middle of your conflict, your opposition, your trial, your struggle, there is an opportunity in there. There's in the ministry, we like to say there's a lesson learned, there's a testimony in it. While in the midst of your opposition, are you able to spot the opportunity and then be able to take that opportunity, maximize it, and make it multiply for your good? When every opposition, there is an opportunity. And as leaders, we have to see that. We have to see that. And we have to train others to be able to see that. When the prophet was, the enemies were surrounding him in Gehazi. I was just reading through 2 Kings. When the enemy was surrounding Elisha and Gehazi, Gehazi was like, hey, I know you see this. We about to die. It is more of them than it is of us. And Gehazi being the mentee and Elisha being the mentor, he said, open your eyes and see that there'll be more that are for us than those that are against us. And when he did that and he opened his eyes, all he could see surrounding him were the armies of the Lord. As a leader, we have to be able to see the opportunity in the midst of the opposition. That's the only way we can move forward and lead a people forward that have a positive growth mindset.
Okay, awesome. Oh, this is good. This is good. This is good. As someone who operates in both ministry and marketplace, how do you balance these roles, and how has your faith influenced your understanding of success?
My faith is where I got my definition of success. I was asked from September 30th through October 4th, I was invited to be a speaker in Atlanta at the Military Influencer Conference. And after one of my first session, someone came up to me and asked, a group of ladies came up to me and asked, how can you be so open with your faith and not be afraid to lose clients, not be afraid to lose opportunities? And I told them, without my faith, there would be no me. I can't separate who God is and who he's created me to be and put that in a box and come and be something else for, in different atmospheres. My faith is who I am. And so that would be my encouragement to anyone that is listening to your show or viewing your show. Your faith in God has to define your everything. And in that, he will lead and guide and direct you. And success is your portion. It has to be your portion. There's no other way that life can be. Success.
Say that again. Say it again.
It does. Success has to be your portion. In Deuteronomy 28, he gives us a list of instructions. And when we're obedient to that list of instructions, then that's when we can be the head and not the tail. We can be above and not beneath. We can be the lender and not the borrower. But we have to be sold out, unapologetic, and unwavering in our faith in who God is and who he created us to be. Now, I'm not the standing on the corner with a bullhorn type of person. I'm not going to, if the Lord tell me to do it, I'll do it. But is it in my desire, in my natural nature? No, I'm not going to do that. But when given an opportunity, when the Lord brings an opportunity my way, and because I'm unapologetically who I am as a believer, then they're going to get what they called for. They're going to get what they call for. And that used to be a concern. And the more I follow Dr. Miles Monroe or even John Maxwell, these gentlemen are unapologetically Christian. And prior to Dr. Monroe's passing, he got invited all over the world, countries, nations, governments, to train and teach and develop. And everybody knew he was a Christian. Same thing with John Maxwell. Called all over the world to train, teach leadership. And everybody knows he's an unapologetic pastor. Both of them. So why should it stop me? It didn't stop them. Success is my portion when I do what God says do. When we follow Joshua 1, verse 7 through 9, and Psalms 1, verse 1 through 3, success is our portion. It has to be. Joshua said we have good success. Good success, not just success, but good success.
So what do you say to that person who is extremely gifted, talented, they're educated, but they don't have faith? They don't have enough faith. They're not walking in that direction, and they haven't come into themselves. They don't really know their purpose yet. They're searching, and I talk to them. They're like, I gotta find my purpose. I'm trying to get my purpose. And they have so much. I be like, girl, you got it already. like seriously, I talk to a lot of professional women like they're up here, but they still, it's mind-boggling sometimes. And so speak to that.
So my question to that sister would be, how do you define purpose? Like, we all have different definitions. Like, my book is all about redefining success. Through the pages of the book, I take the reader on a journey where I had to learn who and what external things was subliminally defining success for me. And I would ask that sister that same thing. Who or what external situations, circumstances, and people have developed her definition of purpose or her definition of faith? Because we could be successful in the natural without faith. But that void, that area that God can occupy in our hearts and our mind, that defines truly what success means to us. We can't get that from any external source. And there's no amount of natural accomplishments that could give us that same level of satisfaction and fulfillment. So, sis, what's defining? How do you define success? How do you define faith? How do you define purpose? And then take her back to the word. This is what the word says. Because your faith is simply believing and calling on the name of the Lord. Raising your hands up and say, what must I do to be saved? It's very simple. Life in human culture has taught us everything has to be difficult. We have to have a 10-step program, a 20-step solution, a 9-part framework. Do we really, though?
No.
I mean, if you're going to scale and streamline your business from a business standpoint, but when we're talking strictly faith, it's simple. And because it's so simple, sometimes we miss it and we say, oh, it's got to be more than that. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So who or what is defining those things for her? Once she can answer the question, when I say, hey, what does that mean to you? If she can't answer it, then that's why we should never find it. Wow. Because you don't even know what you're looking for.
Good. Some good stuff. Thank you, Dr. LaQuita. Woo, we could be here a while talking about this.
I can't. Don't get me started.
Yes. So make sure that you all go to courageouswomanmag.com. Dr. LaQuita will be there. You can read more information about her and all the amazing, wonderful things that she's doing. But I'm going to let her tell you where you can find her and her book.
You can other things. Awesome. So you can find my book on Amazon, and you can find me. As a matter of fact, those that are in the Texas area or close to Texas, on the 19th, I will be in San Antonio, Texas, supporting and covering an event called the Women's Veteran Calendar. It's their 2025 calendar release party. And it's such an amazing event. It's for women veterans only. And the calendar is for women's veterans only. So we have some amazing local and state level representatives that are going to be at the unveiling of this calendar. So if you are a female veteran or you have a female veteran that you're supporting and you're not aware of this organization, if you go out to my social media, on my LinkedIn, you can find out more about this event and come out and support. I'll be in San Antonio on the 19th. I'll be here in Killeen in November, and in December hosting a podcast workshop. I'm super excited about that. As you know, I've been podcasting for a long time and doing live streams for a long time. And so now I coach and train other podcasters and live streamers. And next year, the Lord is truly blessed. Next year, I will be hosting a couple of events. I've partnered with a really good friend of mine out of the UK. And so me and a group of ladies are traveling back to the UK in May of next year. And we will be teaching on doing a women's business retreat with a really good friend of mine, Pastor Faith Nandaro out of Leicester, UK. And so God is good. God is good. So
Yes,
just stay
it
tuned
is
to
all
mine.
the time. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. I want to bring Dr. Theresa Moseley back, and y'all can just power this out. This has been an amazing, amazing Authors Night Live, our second episode.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Moseley. I thank you both for coming on and being part of Authors Night Live. So I want a couple of our people in the audience, Earl Davis, he says, that's good word. It's so awesome how God's timing and methods work. He says, great interview, ladies. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Earl
Earl.
Davis. I think that's Dr. Earl Davis.
Oh, excuse me, Dr. Davis. Thank you so much.
Yes, yes. So, to close us out, ladies, give us some encouraging words on leadership today. Like, there's some women who are out there just need some encouraging words in their businesses or in their churches. Leave them with a powerful word.
Okay, I'll start. If you're the leader of any organization, school, nonprofit, know that leaders lead others. It's your responsibility to train your other leaders, to teach them the soft skills that they need, to steps to leading with grace. If you want to have a positive climate, if you want to have a positive culture, if you want to grow your organization, it's so important for you to remember that you need to lead with grace, and you can do that by implementing the soft skills for effective leadership.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. In 30 seconds, Dr. LaQuita.
Ladies, those ladies that are in leadership or aspiring to be in leadership, what I would leave with you on tonight is the importance of understanding who you are. Know your identity, understand your purpose, and walk in your destiny unapologetically.
Say that again. Unapologetically.
Unapologetically.
Yes. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Dr. LaQuita Monley and Dr. Theresa. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Theresa Moseley. Thank you both. You are such inspiring women. And your books. Make sure that y'all go to Amazon and grab both of these books. This is Authors Night Live. We are talking to some amazing authors. So make sure that you support them and keep coming back to Authors Night Live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time and 9 p.m. Eastern time. That is our show. We gotta go, y'all. Have a good night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.